Some people will do anything for a thrill, and in the world of YouTube, that thrill can be the difference between a few hundred views and millions of clicks. But when you flirt with danger long enough, you might find yourself face to face with a terrifying realization. You're only one misstep away from tragedy. Today, we're diving into the stories of popular YouTubers who pushed the limits so hard, they nearly paid for it with their lives. From free-falling at 10,000 feet without a working parachute, to plunging into floodwaters in an abandoned tunnel, these tales go far beyond the usual pranks and vlogs. They're harrowing examples of how easily things can spiral out of control when the chase for exciting content overshadows basic safety. Think about how often you scroll through video titles and see words like crazy, insane, or you won't believe. It's easy to forget those terms can sometimes be more than hype. In these next stories, there's spot-on descriptions of real events that turned a day of filming into a life-or-death struggle. Each close call is unique. Some happen in the blink of an eye on a busy highway, while others creep up slowly, thousands of feet above the ground or deep within the earth. Yet they all have something in common. None of these YouTubers expected to face their worst fears that day. They thought they were in control until they found out just how easily control can slip through your fingers. As we journey through each near miss, keep one question in mind. Is it really worth the risk? From quick-thinking last-second saves to medical emergencies that knock people flat, these jaw-dropping accounts will make you wonder if internet fame is sometimes overshadowed by the shocking and the dangerous. You might be tempted to call them thrill seekers or adrenaline junkies, but the truth is, many had no clue just how bad things could get. So let's begin where most unstoppable adrenaline rushes start, hurtling through the air in what's supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. Skydiving is a bucket list dream for plenty of people. The thrill of free-falling, the rush of air against your skin, and the panoramic views that make you feel more alive than ever, it's enough to capture anyone's imagination. Logan Paul was no stranger to pushing boundaries. From wild stunts to over-the-top pranks, he built a career on living large. But on one particular jump, he discovered that gravity doesn't always play nice, and a parachute is only helpful if it actually opens. He'd leapt from a plane at around 10,000 feet, expecting the usual surge of excitement as he plummeted toward the ground. That exhilaration quickly turned to raw panic when he tugged on the ripcord and realized the main chute wasn't deploying. Skydivers usually count on their main parachute to pop open in about 3 to 6 seconds, but Logan found himself waiting in vain. Worse yet, he started to spiral, locked in a terrifying spin that made it nearly impossible to see straight or react calmly. It takes a special kind of resolve to remember the backup plan when you're plummeting at terminal velocity. But in that moment, Logan's survival instincts kicked in. He made the split-second call to pull the reserve chute, praying it wouldn't jam the way the main one had. Just like that, the main chute detached, and the backup deployed successfully. He came out of the spin in time to breathe again, but the heart-stopping terror of those seconds remains imprinted on his memory. He's often recounted how, in the midst of that chaos, he seriously believed he was about to die. It's not every day you see someone famous admit that, for a few seconds, they thought it was all over. What's crucial to remember is that skydiving is already high risk, even when everything goes according to plan. When one tiny mechanism fails or something gets tangled, the line between a thrilling experience and a fatal disaster is razor thin. Logan's frantic scramble to yank the reserve ripcord in the sense that he was seconds from hitting the ground highlight just how sudden and absolute that danger can be. Yet, unbelievably, this is just the beginning of our journey through harrowing, real-life incidents.
I have the Mavericks on my helmet because I'm a beast and stuff.
The sun had set and rain was pelting the dark roads as FaZe Rug and his friend pulled up in front of a tunnel rumored to be haunted. Rumors of strange voices, inexplicable apparitions, and malevolent forces swirled around this location, turning it into a magnet for paranormal enthusiasts. But while plenty of ghost hunters venture into creepy places, few do it in the middle of the night, during a downpour and with minimal safety precautions. That's exactly what Rug did. Stepping out of the car armed only with a camera and a flashlight, nerves were already rattled by the spooky atmosphere. Every echo seemed amplified. Every shape in the darkness looked like a lurking figure. Almost as soon as they entered the tunnel, Rugg claimed to see a silhouette dart around the corner, sending chills down his spine. Then came the bizarre setup. Odd markings on the tunnel walls, pools of water collecting on the ground that looked deeper than they should have been. It was as if the place was alive, shifting and changing with each step they took. But what really pushed the situation over the edge was the sudden rush of water flooding in. The rainfall outside had intensified, funneling streams of water into the tunnel. Before Rugg and his friend realized what was happening, they were ankle-deep and slipping on the slick floor. Each frantic footstep echoed in the cramped space as water climbed higher, threatening to swallow them both. In the darkness, disorientation took hold. Their flashlights flickered over dripping walls and mysterious shapes bobbing in the current. When the water surged, it became a battle to keep their footing. A single misstep could have seen either of them swept away, pinned underwater, or slammed into unseen debris. One moment Rugg was filming the eerie scene, the next he was clinging to the tunnel wall, gasping as icy water reached his waist. Panicked shouts filled the space as they clutched each other, terror flashing in their eyes. After a desperate scramble, they finally found higher ground and managed to retreat to safety. The near miss rattled them to the core. It's easy to dismiss ghost stories and haunted tunnels as the stuff of overactive imaginations. But here the real danger wasn't a spirit or apparition. It was the simple force of nature, rapidly rising water that threatened to trap them in a subterranean nightmare. The lesson? No matter what supernatural tales capture your curiosity, the real world is plenty scary all on its own.
Probably the last time.
Tell me if it's a little too tight, man.
Nah, you're good.
There we go, that's on.
Put it on and then just start spitting out every word you hear.
All right, Rugg, can you hear us? Are you ready to start?
Okay. Does anybody here want to talk to us?
Why?
We came back after a long time to the tunnel. Want to get some answers.
Yeah, does anybody here look familiar to you?
Help.
Do you need help?
In time.
In time. What do you need help with? Are you trapped here?
The end.
The end. Like something's trapped at the end, maybe? I don't know. Why are you still here after all this time? What are all those noises?
Stuck.
There's something stuck in here.
How many of there are you? Can you give us a number?
Wait. I heard that through.
When you're a rising star traveling the world, you expect some crowds, maybe a bit of chaos, and hopefully a lot of enthusiasm. That was the mindset IShowSpeed had when he landed in Norway. He wanted to meet his audience, feel their energy, and create viral clips that would keep his momentum going strong. Standing in front of fans who were chanting his name, Speed revved everyone up for a signature SUI, his iconic shout. But things quickly took a bizarre and painful turn. It all started with a simple foot injury when the excitement got the best of him, and he landed awkwardly. He felt an immediate jolt of pain, but that was just the appetizer to the main course of pandemonium. Suddenly, a mob of fans surged forward. Shouting voices merged into a roar as people fought to get close to him. In the scuffle, multiple hands grabbed at him from different directions. He lost his balance, his ankle throbbing with each step. Then came the unthinkable. Someone yanked a literal chunk of his hair clean off. Another person apparently attempted a wrestling move, launching themselves off a nearby car right into Speed. It was too wild to fully comprehend in the moment. Water bottles started flying, and he realized the situation was spiraling beyond simple fan overexcitement. When the dust finally settled, Speed found himself limping, bruised, and missing a patch of hair. Later, he admitted his ankle felt broken, and the rest of his body was just as sore from the dog pile. What makes this more disturbing is how quickly a fun meetup turned hostile. The boundary between fan and creator blurred, and the swarm acted like it was all part of the show. Rather than focusing on his content, Speed ended up posting updates from a hospital bed, telling his community about the extent of his injuries. Dislocated bones and torn hair might not sound as perilous as a failed parachute, but the thought of being overwhelmed by a frenzied crowd can be just as terrifying. It underlines the reality that sometimes the greatest threat isn't a stunt, it's people who lose sight of your humanity.
Chat, y'all ready for this? Oh, that was so fire! Shit. Oh, I think I just broke my ankle.
Ah, I think I just broke my ankle. Oh my God, I think I just broke my ankle. Deadass. Oh my God, I think I just broke my ankle. Holy fucking shit. Oh, I think I just broke my ankle. Oh my God. Oh, shut up. Oh, 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 oh.
Jake Paul is no stranger to controversy or extreme stunts, so when he got his hands on a BMW 1000, one of the fastest production motorcycles on the planet, fans and critics alike braced themselves for something crazy. Jake, never one to shy away from risky behavior, soon began posting clips of himself weaving in and out of traffic, popping wheelies and speeding at breakneck velocity on public roads. To him, it was another day in the life. To everyone else, it was a ticking time bomb. Sure enough, the bomb went off. It happened in a split second, the way so many accidents do. He was tearing down the street when he lost control of the bike. The front wheel wobbled, the grip on the handlebars slipped, and Jake was thrown to the pavement with alarming force. The crash was caught on video, capturing a moment of raw chaos as the bike skidded away and left a trail of sparks on the asphalt. By the time it came to a standstill, Jake was sprawled on the road, lucky to be alive and only superficially hurt. Most viewers who saw the footage assumed the worst. High-speed motorcycle wrecks often end in severe injury or worse, but as fate would have it, Jake walked away with just minor scrapes and bruises. If you watch the clip, you can almost hear the collective sigh of relief from those who believed they were about to witness a tragedy unfold on camera. It raises the question of how many narrow escapes one can have before luck runs out. Speeding on a high-powered machine might feed the ego and provide sensational content, but the margin for error is razor thin. Motorcycles offer little in the way of protection, and the line between a triumphant stunt and a full-blown catastrophe is easily crossed. Yet Jake seemed unshaken enough to carry on, moving forward with the same audacity he'd always shown. Sometimes you have to wonder, does an event like this serve as a wake-up call or just another story to tell?
So I hit a speed bump, and you'll see in the video, I go flying up a little bit.
There's a certain subculture of drivers who thrive on weaving through packed highways at insane speeds, calling it cutting up in traffic. It looks thrilling on camera, fast-paced, filled with sharp turns between unsuspecting cars, but it's also shockingly dangerous. Neon, a YouTuber itching for a new experience, decided to join one of these so-called experts on a typical high-octane ride. It started off with an uneasy handshake, Neon extracting a half-joking promise that they'd keep the speeding to a minimum. But once the engine roared and the adrenaline spiked, that promise flew out the window. They zoomed into the flow of traffic, accelerating well beyond any legal limit. Horns blared, lights blurred, and the wind rattled through the car as if it were about to tear it apart. The near misses piled up, cutting across multiple lanes, narrowly avoiding collisions with unsuspecting drivers just trying to get home. At one heart-pounding point, the driver swerved violently, slamming into the side of another vehicle. Metal collided with bone-rattling force, and for a moment, Neon felt certain he was about to be crushed inside a twisted wreck. By some miracle, both cars managed to slam to a stop without flipping over. Airbags popped. Shouts filled the air. Smoke rose from the engine. In the aftermath, everyone involved stumbled out, dazed but alive. Neon's face reflected an even mix of relief and anger, shock and regret. Filming stunts is one thing, but witnessing your life flash before your eyes because a driver ignored all sense of caution is another level of terror. Some watchers argued it was a reality check. This wasn't a racetrack, and the highways are filled with innocent people who never agreed to be part of a life-threatening stunt. One swerve can rewrite lives in an instant, no editing required.
Hold on, squeeze.
That's good.
Let's go, brother. Can I just keep one foot? Can I just sit like this?
Bro, you're 100% good. Don't worry. Okay.
Oh my God, this squeeze, motherfucker!
Be like, I'm not gonna be crazy with you. It's with you in the future, and we want to work with everybody else, you know. So we're not trying to look riskier type criminals. We're just regular kids, you know?
Yeah, nah, fuck with it, bro.
So, you know, we could really just go on a cruise and...
What if you owned a hypercar so rare and expensive, you could only find one in the entire world? For most people, that would be reason enough to keep it securely locked away or at least drive very, very carefully. But for Gigi Exotics, the chance to show off a custom Pagani worth a rumored $4 million was irresistible. Flooded with carbon fiber and sporting futuristic doors that looked ripped from a sci-fi film, this one-of-one masterpiece turned heads wherever it went. Onlookers gawked as it glided down the street, the engine growling like an animal held on the tightest leash. Cameras rolled, capturing every glint of polished metal and every turn of the wheel. Then came the fateful moment. No one is sure whether it was a case of overconfidence, a slick patch of road, or a burst of reckless speed. In seconds, the Pagani lurched, veered off course, and spun into a crash that left onlookers gasping in horror. The impact shattered the vehicle. Expensive panels crumpled, carbon fiber splintered, and smoke billowed from the engine bay. Gigi Exotics barely escaped serious injury, scrambling out of the wreck as the adrenaline pounded in his veins. In the aftermath, as tow trucks hauled away what used to be a gleaming symbol of opulence, questions swirled. Why push such a fragile treasure to its limits on public roads? Was the desire for epic footage worth the potential cost in human lives? That night, he found himself facing the reality that he had barely walked away from a brutal crash and was likely staring at millions of dollars in losses for a car that was now a pile of wreckage. Fans questioned whether it was a case of hubris, while others just felt grateful the driver and any bystanders were unharmed. These machines might symbolize power, but as any crash victim will tell you, all that status vanishes the moment you lose control.
Man, dude, no.
We started shaking. I lost control. I couldn't hold on to the wheel because it was just turning. It hurt my wrist. Yeah, we got sideways, hit the curb. I literally could not stop it. I was slamming on the brakes, could not stop it. Hit the curb. We caught air. We went off the ground and flew into the tree. It was honestly the scariest thing of my life. The doors flew off when we hit the tree. I felt the door whack me in my arm, or it was something. I mean, I'm guessing it was the door. Nothing else was like in the car, not a tree branch or anything.
There's a moment on a snowy slope when you either conquer the mountain or it conquers you. Vikestar123, known for gaming content as well as real-life adventures, found this out the hard way during a winter trip that went very wrong. For most of the outing, he was enjoying the crisp air and the thrill of gliding across snow-laden hills. But a single miscalculated move changed everything. It might have been a jump that was too ambitious, or a patch of ice that caught his skis at the wrong angle. Whatever it was, Vic found himself hurtling forward, flipping in a way he never intended. He slammed into the ground with bone-jarring force, pain radiating through his shoulder and chest. Friends rushed over, half expecting him to shake it off. Instead, he lay there, obviously in agony, unable to move his arm without wincing. What came next was a panicked ride to the nearest medical facility. X-rays revealed a broken collarbone that demanded immediate surgery. Vic posted updates, trying to maintain a brave face, but the seriousness of his condition was unmistakable. Doctors quickly scheduled an operation to reposition and stabilize the fractured bone, using metal plates and screws to piece him back together. Skiing can be risky, even for pros, but it's one of those activities people often underestimate. One poor decision or unexpected patch of ice can send you flying. Months of rehab followed, and Vicstar had to come to terms with the fact that not every adventure is just for laughs or clicks. Sometimes the risk lingers long after the camera's off, in the form of metal implanted in your body, and the sobering knowledge that you dodged a much darker outcome.
Doing it with the backpack, this is the dumbest fuck idea, let's go.
You mates, you look like that across one of that. How'd the jump go, Vic? Oh, yeah. Chris, you too. Chris, and the whole boys.
Sometimes the most ordinary moments can turn into nightmares. Phantom thought he was in for a regular evening meal. Lamb chops, sides, nothing out of the ordinary. He dug in, enjoying the flavors and feeling perfectly content. But hidden within those ingredients was something that did not agree with his body. a trigger waiting to unleash chaos. A short while later, Phantom found himself on a basketball court, trying to ignore the odd tingling in his fingers. He expected the sensation to pass, but instead, it spread. His hands went numb and a wave of heat washed over him. Panic set in as he looked at his reflection and saw his face swelling, nose stiffening, and skin looking painfully tight. Each breath felt more strained. He stumbled to the water fountain, splashing his face in a desperate attempt to cool down and reduce the swelling. It only made things worse. The areas he touched started burning as if his skin were on fire. Friends ushered him into a car, racing toward the nearest hospital. Phantom's chest tightened with every heartbeat. When they burst into the emergency room, doctors immediately hooked him up to an IV and administered powerful medications to tame his reaction. As he sat there, heart hammering, he heard frantic voices behind a curtain in the next bay over. Someone else was in critical condition, and within minutes, that person passed away. Phantom was left grappling not only with his own emergency, but also with the raw reminder of how quickly life can be snatched away. Once stabilized, Phantom emerged physically shaken and emotionally sobered. Allergic reactions can seem mild at first, then escalate with terrifying speed. You can go from feeling normal to struggling to breathe in a matter of moments, which is exactly what happened to Phantom. It's one thing to risk your life on a stunt. It's another to come face to face with death in the form of a hidden allergen in your dinner.
I'm back, bitches! Shit! Alright, baby. Alright, look. God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. Okay?
When you gather a group of creative friends, a giant piece of construction equipment, and a thirst for viral content, what could possibly go wrong? For David Dobrik and his circle, the plan seemed fun in the abstract. Use an excavator's swinging arm to replicate the thrill of an amusement park ride. Jeff Whittek climbed aboard, gripping a rope that dangled from the excavator, and everyone expected a quick adrenaline rush. But once that machine revved up, the situation spun wildly out of control, literally. As the excavator arm whipped around, Jeff's hold on the rope slipped. The sheer force launched him directly into the arm of the excavator, slamming his head with brutal impact. The immediate aftermath was chaos. Friends rushed forward, uncertain whether Jeff was alive or mortally injured. Blood, shock, and frantic shouts filled the air. In that horrifying moment, it was clear that this was far beyond a goofy YouTube skit. Jeff was rushed to a hospital where doctors discovered a laundry list of injuries: a fractured skull, a shattered eye socket, and breaks in his hip and foot. Multiple surgeries were needed to address the damage, and even then, the physical and emotional scars ran deep. The fallout sparked questions about accountability. Had David been recklessly operating the excavator? Did Jeff truly volunteer for something so dangerous? Or was he pressured by the dynamic of the friend group and the lure of viral fame? Ultimately, the friendship cracked under the weight of the incident. Jeff not only spoke out against David, but also took legal action, filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. It was a stark reminder that the chase for bigger, crazier stunts can cross a line where no number of subscribers or views will fix the irreversible harm done. In the world of content creation, pushing boundaries can be enthralling until someone's life is on the line. Casey Neistat built his reputation on boundary-pushing adventures, but none quite as daunting as climbing Aconcagua, the tallest mountain in the world outside the Himalayas. With minimal preparation and no hired guides, he and a friend decided to haul their own gear up the 22,000-foot behemoth, brushing aside the risks of altitude sickness and unpredictable mountain weather. In Casey's mind, it was just another bold challenge, a way to test himself and capture awe-inspiring footage. The initial days were breathtaking in all the right ways. Crisp mountain air, panoramic vistas of snow-capped peaks, and the sense of being totally alive on an untamed frontier. But as they ascended, subtle warning signs crept in. Headaches worsened, breathing became more laborious, and a bone-deep fatigue set in. He tried to shrug it off, pushing onward with the camera rolling, determined not to let the mountain win. At around 22,500 feet, the simple act of continuing forward felt impossible. Oxygen was scarce, and Casey started experiencing moments of mental blackouts. He'd catch himself drifting, as if he could fall asleep standing up. Any mountaineer would say that's a critical danger sign. Fall asleep at that altitude and you might never wake up. Yet Casey pressed on, driven by a stubborn will to reach the summit, ignoring his body's frantic red flags. When he finally reached the top, battered and barely coherent, the euphoria of victory warred with the overwhelming exhaustion in his lungs and limbs. Cameras captured him delirious with cold, hardly able to string sentences together. Descending was another battle in itself, each step a gamble. By the time he got back down safely, he realized just how easily his ambition could have cost him his life. Filming the journey might have provided captivating content, but it nearly became a final testament.
We're 37 minutes into our summit push, and we're watching the sunrise over the Andes, and we are literally over the Andes.
We're right there.
We're so close to summit, but I keep like blacking out. I think it's from the altitude.
Both hurt.
We're both hurting pretty bad. I've never been anywhere near this altitude, but the part that hurts the most is summit is right there. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for it.
We'd come halfway around the world not to.
And so we circle back to the question, are these death-defying stunts worth the fleeting rush of adrenaline and internet clout? Each incident, a skydive gone wrong, a supernatural exploration turned flood trap, a high-speed crash, a freak crowd surge, a catastrophic allergic reaction, hammers home a truth that's both simple and unsettling. We're all vulnerable, no matter how famous or skilled we might be. Whether you're traveling at 100 miles per hour on a bike or scaling a mountain thousands of feet above sea level, the line between controlled risk and life-changing disaster is thin. For Logan Paul, iShowSpeed, David Dobrik, FaZe Rug, and others, these harrowing moments have become part of their legacies. Stories that fans will talk about for years, dissecting every second of footage. Some find redemption in caution, learning to respect the unpredictable nature of stunts and the real-world dangers lurking behind every corner. Others shrug off their close calls as just another chapter, propelling themselves forward as if unstoppable. But a thread of caution runs through each story, inviting us to think about how easily things can slip out of our hands even when we believe we have everything under control. The thirst for viral content and the push to outdo everyone else can tilt the balance between safe risk-taking and reckless abandon. When you flirt with the extreme, sometimes the extreme flirts back, with consequences nobody wants to face. Take a moment to reflect on these incidents and consider how pushing boundaries can lead to both thrilling triumph and devastating defeat. In a world where views and clicks often reward the most audacious stunts, these stories remind us there's no edit button for real life. Once you're in free fall, there's no going back. The question remains, how far are you willing to go and what are you willing to lose just to make a moment go viral?